and welcome back to the 2018 Granny Square Crochet Along. Today we're making the heart stitch. The heart stitch in rows. You have made the heart stitch granny square with Sammy before a few weeks ago, and that was when you had the heart stitch going round in your square. So this one is worked in rows, and just to show you a different technique with this heart stitch. Now I know it's not heart, it doesn't look totally heart shaped, but it is, it depends kind of how tightly you crochet as well, I think, or how loosely you crochet, as to how the effect shows. You can see some of these look more heart shaped than others, and it depends on what angle you look at as well, so it's all kind of depends on a lot of things. So anyway, this is what we're making today. You will need ideally at least two colours. You need your main colour, which is obviously my grey, and then you need your contrasting colour, which I've used the red and the yellow. So you do need at least two colours. Well, that's what I'm going to show you anyway. You can do it all in one colour, it just won't highlight it as much. And then you'll just need your hook and some scissors, and that's it, and a cup of tea or coffee, and that's it. So let's have a look at how we're going to make this lovely square. Okay, so to start with, you want to take your main colour, which in my case is grey, and you want to chain 25. I will get back to you when I've finished 25. Okay, so 25 chains later, let me just pop this light on. There we go, just take some of that that dark shadow away. Gosh, that was dark. Shadow there from my lamp. Okay, so we've got 25 chains, and then we are going to, in the 5th chain from the hook, we're going to do a double crochet, and in every chain along. So the 5th chain, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. You know I hate counting chains, don't you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as I've told you before, find one part of your chain. Find the top bump, the bottom bump, and just follow that down, count those down, and then so you're looking at exactly the same part of the chain. My camera focuses again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've got my finger on the 5th. That's how I find it the easiest way to count. You probably don't have a problem with counting your chains at all, but just one of my little things. Okay, so in this 5th chain, do a double crochet. Now, I think I've shown you once before, you could go into the back bump of this, and it just gives you a knee to front if you wanted to. It gives you a knee to front there, but to be honest, we're going to be putting a border on this, so it doesn't really matter whether it's or how neat it is. Okay, so just do your double crochet wherever you feel like in this chain, because we are going to be putting a border on it, so it's all good. So just work along, and you will have, including that starting chain, you will have 22 double crochets by the time you've finished. So I will get back to you when I have 22 double crochets. And here are my 22 double crochets. Now, this is the difference of what I was saying of if you work into that back bump of your chain, you get this really neat edge along the bottom here. If you can see that edge there. really nicely edged rather than a big open chain. Now, as I said, it doesn't really matter on this square because we are putting a border, so this nicely edged will actually be covered up, but I just wanted to do it to show you how much neater they can look if you work into the back bump rather than into one or two loops of that chain. And I love the effect, I love it. So I tend to do that a lot now for my squares, or anything where the bottom chain is going to show. So yeah, just a little helpful hint there. So now what you're going to do is this loop that you've finished with, you're going to just pull that up larger and just drop it down and leave it. Now if you're worried about that loop, then you could just leave it small and just put a stitch marker in there. So if you're worried that it might come undone, then just pop a stitch marker in. But I'm just going to put it up nice and big and leave it there. Okay. Okay, so then grab your contrasting colour, the colour you want to do your first row of hearts in. So I'm just going to grab my pink, and you want to join it into the top chain here of your chain 4 that you skipped to the start of row 1. So you've got 3 chains here as a double crochet, and then the one at the bottom is kind of the chain that the stitch is on. So these stitches are all on one chain, so this counts as a stitch and a chain. Okay, so you want to go into your top chain and join your colour. Now I'm just going to join it in a way that I don't often join actually. I'm just going to pull the yarn through and tie that on. And this works just as well as anything else really. I decided that I don't want a big slip knot there. I just want the colour to be joined there. It's just a nice tiny little tie there. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to work back along this row. So normally in rows we would turn the work, but we're not going to do that yet. Sorry, just hitting the camera. So what you're going to do, try not to get tangled with your previous colour. Just put that aside. Okay, so we are going to chain, we're going to do a beginning 3 double crochet cluster. So it's a 3 double crochet cluster, but because it's the first one, we need to do a chain 3 for our first stitch. Chain 3, or is it chain 2? Let me just double check. Chain 2. So we're going to chain 2 because normally we would chain 3 for a double crochet, but because being a cluster stitch, we're only going to have partial double crochets, so therefore we're only doing 2 stitches. So then yarn over, go into your chain, yarn over, pull through, and then do that first pull through 2 loops, and we leave that last loop on the hook. So this loop is already on the hook, and then we've got 1 loop there from our first stitch. So yarn over again, go into the same chain, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. That's your second partial double crochet, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. So this is your beginning 3 double crochet cluster because you've only got 2 stitch parts there and your chain. Okay, so now we are going to chain 3. Now do these quite loosely. If you do them tightly, your work will pull in, okay, because you need these chains to take you across the length of your work. So just chain 3 nice and loosely, not too small, and then you're going to skip 6 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and go into the 7th to do a 3 double crochet cluster. So this time we do that 3 times. So into the stitch, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, we leave those last loop on the hook, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So then we've got 3 loops there, 1 for the hook and 1 for each stitch, and we do that once more, and then we have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through. and that's your 3 double crochet cluster because it's 3 partial double crochets. And then we're going to chain 2 and then do another 3 double crochet cluster in that very same stitch, and this is what will eventually make your hearts. There we go. Cluster, chain 2 and a cluster. And then we're going to do another chain 3 nice and loosely, skip 6 double crochets. Remember to count the one right next to your heart stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go into the 7th and do another cluster. And do a cluster stitch for those 3 partial double crochets. Chain 2 and do another cluster stitch. Some more yarn. There we go. Pull through the last 4 loops and then chain 3 loosely once more. Skip 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if your stitch count's correct, it should be the last stitch on your row that you want to go in. So what you want to do is this loop of your main colour, just hold that down against the stitch, and then you can go in and you're going to do 1 3 double crochet cluster, so just 1 cluster in this end stitch. Just hold that loop down out of the way, work into that stitch, doing your cluster, and there we go. That is your first row of your heart stitch. So you start with a cluster and then you have 2 sets of 2 clusters in the middle, and you finish with a cluster with chain 3s in between each set and 2 in between, chain 2 in between each of these. That is as simple as that row is. So now you want to fasten off this colour, and this is not so easy for working over your ends on this pattern because you've got lots of open areas, so you will have to do some sewing in of your ends afterwards. Okay, so now it's time to go back to your main colour. Okay, so find your loop, take your stitch marker off if you used a stitch marker, and if not, then just pull that loop down, back down to its regular size. And there we go. Just make sure I've got some yarn pulled out here. Okay, so what we're going to do, because we're doing a border on this square, it doesn't matter so much about carried yarn. So we're just going to carry this yarn up, because if not, we would be changing colour every single row and you would have so many ends. And you could change colour in between rows, but to be honest, the pattern needs something stable to help it stand out, so keeping all of the background in one colour is quite a good idea. So what you want to do is this loop, you want to pull that up to about the size, the height of your cluster stitch, and yarn over, pull through as doing a chain. Okay, so you want that to be kind of up to the height of that cluster. And then you are going to do a single crochet in the top of your cluster. So that is this particular gap just here. If you can see that, just here on the left, there's a little gap. So you want to go in there for your stitch. If you're left-handed, then that will be on the other side. It'll be on the right, not the left. So do a single crochet in the top of that cluster, and then we're going to work into these stitches down on our previous row, row 1. So look, chain 2, and then look down at these stitches here, and you want to skip 2 of these double crochets, so 1, 2, and then do a double crochet into the 3rd stitch, and you want to work over this chain. they work over your my pink chain. So put your hook in, and then as you do your yarn over, make sure it goes over that chain and incorporates that chain in your stitch. And there we go, it's over that chain on both sides. Okay, do a double crochet in the next stitch, again over your chain. So you can see that chain is nicely enclosed in that stitch there, or those 2 stitches. Okay, and then you are going to chain 2 and do a single crochet in this chain 2 between your cluster stitches. A single crochet in there, chain 2. Again, make sure these chains are fairly loose, and then we're going to do exactly the same. Skip your first 2 double crochets down on row 1, go into the next stitch and do a double crochet over that chain. Do a double crochet in the next stitch, working over that chain, and chain 2. There we go, another chain, pink chain enclosed in your stitches. Okay, so you chain 2, and then you're going to do a single crochet in that chain 2 between clusters, and then chain 2 again. Again, skip 2 double crochets of your row 1, 1, 2, and do a double crochet in the 3rd stitch and the 4th stitch. Chain 2, and then you're going to do a single crochet in the top of your last cluster. Now bear in mind, this is the one that you had your chain 2 at the start of, so you just kind of need to find where the top of that cluster is. So in this case, the top is actually more on the right. So you can do that, or you can just go into the top chain on the left. I'm going to go to the far left and go through that top chain, just to take my stitch as far to the left as possible. And then pull up your loop, and you can have a look at your work there. This is what it looks like. Gorgeous. I do like these colours together. Grey and pink, how nice together. There we go. Okay, row 4. Now I did tell you wrong, don't pull up a loop yet. We're going to stick with our main colour, and we're going to work back along and pop some double crochets in this next row. So chain 3, turn your work, and then you're going to do 2 double crochets in each chain space, and in each stitch you're going to do a double crochet. So you are going to skip this very first single crochet because you've got your chain coming from it. So 2 double crochets in this first chain space, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches, two in the chain space, 1 in the single crochet, and I think you get the idea, 2 in the next space, double crochets, and then work along 1 in each stitch and 2 in each space, including 1 in your very last stitch at the end here, and I will see you when I've finished. And here you go, you should have 22 double crochets along that top, this top row now. Back to our 22 stitches, so pull up this loop or pop a stitch marker in, whichever you choose, and then grab a colour to use for your hearts. So you could choose another colour, like this one I've just alternated. You could use 4 different colours, completely up to you. So grab that colour again, and it will be time to rejoin in the end here. So you are going to join that colour into your top chain here of your starting chain 3. Okay, so you should have your colour joined into this top chain, which I obviously haven't. What you need to do now is rewind the video back to where I said this is where it says on there about this is repeat starts, and follow the video to do your row of hearts, and then just continue following the video to do your row of hearts, and then to do your 2 rows of your main colour, when we did that row with the chains and single crochets, and these double crochets down here, and then our row of double crochets. So rewind the video, do the repeat for the hearts and the main colour, and you want to rewind that 3 times. You'll get this message every time. Rewind it until you have 4 rows of your hearts. So like here, I've got 4 rows of hearts, and then you want to do your final rows of your main colour, which will be this row here. So finish off with that row here, and then when you've done all of that, I will see you back here once you've got your 4 rows and your last row of double crochet. Have fun! Okay, welcome back. I am hoping you have now got your 4 rows of heart stitches and that you've finished with this double crochet row at the top here. Now, I still haven't done this square. I'm trying to make this video fairly quickly tonight. I know I can never do it quickly because I talk too much. We know I talk too much, but I'm just trying to save a bit of time and get this video finished so I can have it uploading for you. If you finish that, awesome, and I can't wait to see what colour combinations you've done this in. So the only thing left is to do a border. Now, we've done lots of borders on squares. If you've been following us for a while, we have done a lot of borders, and mostly they're pretty similar. So what you want to do is turn this the right way. When you finish, we're going to assume this is the top of my square. This is up here now, so this is the top of my square. What you want to do is just double check on the size. So grab your ruler and just double check. So this should be just this heart stitches should be about 5 inches. I know my ruler's wearing off. Should be about 5 inches. So obviously we need to add another inch. So that, for me, that's the size of a half double crochet. So that is what we're doing. So if you are almost at 6 inches already, then just you can do a single crochet. That will work just as well. Or if it's very tiny, then do a double crochet. But the pattern is kind of in the middle there, and it says to do a half double crochet. What you're going to do, we're going to assume that this is the top of my work. So you're going to continue with this loop here, and you are going to do a chain 1. Let's pull some more yarn out. So you're going to do a chain 1, which doesn't count as anything, and then you're going to do, in that stitch, you're going to do 2 half double crochets and a chain 2 and 2 more half double crochets. 1, 2. And then you're going to work down the side of your work, and you're going to do 2 half double crochets in the side of every double crochet and every cluster. So not your single crochet, just in your double crochets and your clusters. So just do 2 half double crochets in the side of that double, and then this cluster you have the chain there, so do 2 half double crochets in that chain 1, which is by the side of your cluster, and then 2 half double crochets in the next double crochet, and then keep going down your side. Obviously this looks like my bottom, the bottom of my square. The bottom of my square, not my bottom. So just keep going, doing 2 half double crochets in each of those, and then when you get to the bottom, which we're going to assume this is now the bottom, you are going to do, in this very bottom stitch here, you're going to do exactly as you did at the top, and this is where you can incorporate your slip knot tail. So do 2 half double crochets, chain 2, and 2 more half double crochets in that corner. There we go. Okay, and then you're going to work along and do 1 half double crochet in each of the next 20 stitches, and when you get to the end, which is your chain that you started with, you're going to do the 2 half double crochet, chain 2, 2 half double crochet in that first chain there. Then you're going to turn it around to the side, and you're going to work 2 half double crochets into the side of every double crochet and the side of every cluster. So when you get to a cluster, just sort of pull one strand away and work over the strand there, and then 2 around the next double crochet. And then when you get right around to the top, to your last corner, you are going to do, which will be a chain, you're going to do it in the top chain, do a corner, and then 1 in each of the next 20, and then you'll be back to where you started, and you're going to do a slip stitch into your first half double crochet, and that is it for your border. Simples all the way around with half double crochets or whatever size stitch you need to do, and that is it. You will end up with something a bit like this. Lovely, nice and colourful and lovely, and that's it. So have fun, enjoy doing that border, just don't forget to sip your tea, and I will see you next time. If you have enjoyed making this and found this useful and helpful, then please remember what I always say, click that like button, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't already, and you'll know as soon as we have a new video up. And until next time, just keep hooking and don't let your tea get cold. Bye!